it's a big honor to be here. It's such an honor to be invited to speak at this. I'm a little nervous. Everyone else has been such impressive and engaging public speakers. I've padded my presentation with photographs of our activities in Ladakh. I hope you enjoy those because I really can't. You guys are great, you speakers. I would like to also thank Naveen and Shakil and the whole Mind Mingle team for inviting me. It's such an honor. So, what I will tell you about is quite different from, I think, most of your excellent private schools. Our program started out as an NGO working with to reform the government education system in Ladakh. And for many years, SECMOL worked on systemic reform in the government school system of the entire region. And I won't go into SECMOL's work with the government school system. Over the years, we developed this alternative program, this sort of alternative high school for the youth who fail their Class 10 board exams from J&K Board. So we now have a campus at the side of the Indus in Ladakh. And for many years, the problem in Ladakh was the very low rate of passing in the state board exam. But now we're seeing a bigger issue is educated unemployment. There are thousands of Ladakhi youth, rural youth, who are getting degree upon degree in Delhi and Jammu and other cities, but they only want a government job. These are rural youth, and their parents' ambition and the kids' ambition is just get a government job, and it's no longer possible. So this picture is from one of the interview exams for government jobs. Recently, this past month, the local government up there offered 8 posts for village-level workers. They had 4,000 applicants, most of whom had multiple degrees from Jammu, I would say, most likely, meaningless degrees. So our program now for youth at SECMOL, our biggest program, is for youth who fail their Class 10 exam or who pass their Class 10 exam but want a more meaningful kind of education for a year. Also, we have a few students' scientific issue that seems practical or relevant. If there's a comet, which there is right now, we would probably teach about comets. If there's an eclipse, we'll teach about eclipses. We'll teach about the solar system at some point in the year, but usually related to an eclipse or something that's happening. Or at the most about the solstices and equinoxes, which give you the solar energy along with the astronomy. It's quite a nice way of teaching it. All our students have responsibilities. It's a residential school. Ladakh is so spread out, it's really hard. Well, it wouldn't be hard to have a day school. There are in the town, but our school is residential school for the rural students. And they largely run the campus. They all have responsibilities, which are real responsibilities. If they don't do it, it doesn't get done. They have to do it because like you would in a rural family, for example, milking the cows, the student's responsible for it. They really have to do it. If they don't, the cows will be sitting there screaming all day. So they do it. And actually, the dairy responsibility is one of the heavier responsibilities. The other ones, all the other responsibilities take about a half hour per day, but the cow responsibility is at least a half hour in the morning and the evening. And it's very popular. They request it. A lot of them request that responsibility. It's real life. People like interacting with animals. And nowadays, Indian families, all of your children, their grandparents probably had cows and milked them. And your children probably don't. I'm going to make a huge generalization here. It's human nature to actually enjoy being with animals. Generally, not everyone, most people. So it's a great way of learning responsibility and regularity and all kinds of specific things you learn from it. They do gardening, they maintain the solar devices, they help with cooking. We do have a cook. It's one of the cook and driver are the only sort of maintenance staff we have. Everything else is done by students, and the students do help with cooking. They don't help with driving because they're 16 to 18-year-olds mostly. We do food processing of different kinds. This particular picture is making apricot jam, which is a skill they could use as an entrepreneur, as a homemaker, or it's got science in it. You're talking about how we preserve this food and prevent bacteria by sterilizing it with heat rather than using chemicals. So, there's a nice little side science bit, and it's very practical, and it's good fun. And then they sell their products because there's big resistance in the Ladakhi community to go into any kind of private business or the private sector. Everybody's just waiting for the government job. So we really want them to experience a little bit of just the sense of private sector and selling something. I mean, this isn't, a major thing, but I think it's an important small barrier to cross. We produce as much of our own food and vegetables as we can. So the students run the garden. A staff member is also involved with that. A nice thing for learning language. This reminds me of one of the recent speakers that was just up here. People, children and adults, people are curious to learn. They want to learn. You don't have to teach your children how to hold their mother's hand or say mama, dada. They want to communicate. They want to connect with people. And with learning language, we find the most effective way is we have all these visitors and volunteers, and so we organize daily conversation class, and we just have a different topic every day. And you don't have to tell anyone, keep talking or, pay attention. Everybody's just having a good time. Maybe they're talking about the topic, maybe they're wandering off on a different topic, but everybody's having a nice time. Our visitors and volunteers are learning about how our students think, and the students are learning English by actually using it to communicate with interesting people. This particular picture was a visit from a Mind Mingle group of school heads, so maybe some of you here today are in this picture, I don't know. And we have English conversation class every day through the year. It's really good fun. Our students have their responsibilities every 2 months. They change their responsibilities. They have to give a big formal presentation and tell what they've done, what was left undone, what were the problems, what were the achievements. This is a real life skill. I mean, in real life, that's the kind of thing you really have to do, is tell your colleagues or your boss what you've been doing, what you've achieved, what needs to be done, what was difficult. Plus, they have to wear the formal Ladakhi dress and have a chief guest, give some, traditional song and dance. You get a lot of real life skills in that. They mostly run the campus. They do a lot of workshops to revise the timetable from time to time, deal with discipline issues, deal with any kind of organizational issues. Of course, they don't deal with higher things like hiring staff or funding. But they deal with a lot of the day-to-day things like the timetable and discipline and things that are at a student level. And again, I think they're learning real-life skills that way. Of course, we have fun and games, and in winter it happens to be ice hockey. I thought you might like this picture. It looks exotic to you. We do have quite a bit of Ladakhi song and dance. We're well known in Ladakh for that. And some of our former students, since we're dealing with the students mainly who fail from the government education system, we're not really looking at, a few of our students have gone to pretty good success in academics or, good colleges, good universities, higher studies, or even civil service. But most of our students really are not aiming at that, and the fact is, so many of the students who've had educational advantages from the beginning are competing for those seats. Why should our students compete for that as well? As another recent speaker said, a lot of the most successful people in the world didn't finish their conventional education. They just went ahead and did something that needed to be done and succeeded at it. So a few of our former students that I consider successful, some are making local food businesses, locavore food businesses. French cheese in Ladakh, solar building. Quite a few of our former students and staff have started contracting businesses in Ladakh, building solar heated buildings. Quite a few are in the travel industry. As you know, that's a major industry in Ladakh, and one of them started the first women's travel company, has had a lot of media coverage. I think she really got the confidence to do that from our program. And quite a few others, there's a few entered local politics while doing they go back and forth to their other businesses. Quite a few in the travel industry, but they're usually also supporting some local initiative, maybe local handicrafts, Pashmina handicrafts, other handicrafts. Quite a few are working in the NGO sector in Ladakh. Very few are working outside of Ladakh. They're not that interested in it. A few are living abroad, and a few are living in different parts of India. And quite a few continue studying their conventional education, and then quite a few have got those local government jobs that they wanted. And good for them, but the ones who either couldn't get that or didn't want that, I'm very proud of them for trying something different. So I know that what we do is maybe not so directly relevant to most of you who are working with much more privileged schools and students who have had an excellent education from the beginning. We're working with rural students who are ambitious to do something different, do something successful, and probably don't have much of a shot at those high-level things. So we have good fun. We involve the students a lot. We know all our students. And we also have a lot of volunteers, and visitors, some of whom are in the room. I'm very bad at remembering faces, so I'm very sorry if I didn't recognize you. Please introduce yourself if I already know you from before. Thank you so much.